They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Y'all are out in California, so this probably doesn't happen to y'all. Or maybe it does, I don't know, because I know the temperature does change from completely boiling hot to less boiling hot, and that's your fall, I guess. But, you know, like in the South where it's like we've had summer, and then you start getting those first, like, awesome days of fall, and it's like, I mean, Kurt Cobain said it best, weather changes moods. It's amazing. You're like, oh, my God, it's jeans and sweatshirt weather, this is amazing. And then you immediately get sick just because the weather changes. Like, that's it. Does that happen to y'all out there?
Yeah, it does for me, but I've got real bad sinus problems. I got sinusitis. I've had surgery for it and shit. And basically, if I wake up in my bed in California and my sinuses are really, really bad before I even get out of bed, I pretty much know that it's like rainy out or whatever. And I don't know how that makes any sense, but it's just how it works. But whenever it's like in like the rainy season, which is, you know, short and rare, and in like January and shit usually, but that always makes all my stuff worse. But also traveling oftentimes, like coming from the California climate and going into like, oh shit, they got winter here. That will oftentimes make me come down with something, which really sucks. But yeah, I definitely deal with that.
Well, I'm in Tennessee, so I did the thing you're talking about, and I have been spitting up green for 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Ever since we were together.
What's going on there? I was just in Oklahoma, and it was pretty warm.
It's perfect here right now. It's crispy at night. You're just starting to smell. People are mowing for the last time. When I love that, when you could smell fall and grass. It's like summer and fall are fighting or fucking, and yeah, it's perfect right now. I'm sure it'll get hot one more time before I leave and won't get cold at all. But
yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because we got Raleigh, North Carolina this weekend, and it would not have occurred to me to like, oh, maybe I need pants. Even a light jacket or something because it is October. Because out here, it's
hot as shit.
It was 90-some degrees yesterday. Yeah, when Katie picked me up at the airport, it's still hot as hell. So
yeah, if you're listening to this, we are in Raleigh this weekend, October 6th through 8th at Goodnight's Comedy Club. And just a small note, Goodnight's Comedy Club is not in the location that you saw us at last. Now, it would have been nice if I had in front of me the exact location that it currently is. I do not, but
it's on the website for sure.
Do your own research.
Well, if you go to the website, if you're going to buy tickets, you go to WellRED Comedy or TryCrowder.com and then find the link either way. But then when you get to the actual ticket link, it definitely says it on there. I know because that's where I saw it. But yeah, they're moving to a new permanent location, but it ain't ready yet. So they're in like a temporary pop-up spot this weekend. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but they still got a full bar and at least some kind of limited menu. So, you know, we'll have a good time. But yeah, it's a bummer because that was one of my favorite clubs in the whole country. But I know that they didn't. It wasn't their choice, evidently.
Yeah.
BJ Barham said that they tore down that whole block or something. It was like some big city development project or something, I guess, that people fought for years and then finally lost out to the big corporate interest. Ain't that America? But now
I can't believe it.
Yeah, so I guess that's what happened. So it's nobody's fault, but it is a bummer for sure.
Have we talked about how we and other people say "Ain't that America" in that song's tone, ironically, but that is what the song is about?
You mean the song is ironic? I don't even know.
The song is.
The song is exactly how we say it.
Fuck you,
really?
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even know, to be honest with you.
Well, most people wouldn't because you only hear the part they snip out for Ford and
truck
Chevy
commercials.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely heard the song before, I guess, but I couldn't tell you any of the lyrics other than just those three words and the melody.
Springsteen stuff like trying to get ahead and you can't, or John. Yeah, but it's
John Mellencamp is Bruce Springsteen light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look up. Let me get up the lyrics here. Cause,
while you're doing that, let me plug Atlanta something whiskey exchange. I can't remember the name of it right now. You can see it on the website, drewmorgancomedy.com. I got Atlanta the 21st and Savannah, Georgia the 22nd. And I'll be at the Comedy Store in LA on the 24th for Culture Court, a monthly show that I'm now a regular part of, playing the bailiff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I guess as far as solo shows, it's only California for me the whole rest of this year, which I hadn't realized until just now. But yeah, I got out of Oklahoma last weekend. We've got WellRED shows in Raleigh and then the Christmas shows at Zany's. But other than that, I'm in San Jose, Oxnard, and Brea, and then whatever LA shows I do. And then that's it for the rest of this year. I've been hitting it pretty heavy, but the rest of this fall, not too bad. Then in 2023, a whole bunch of other shit coming up. So TreyCrowder.com for both solo and group dates.
I'm at parttimefunnyman.com, and aside from my limited schedule with the guys, the weekend after we're in Raleigh, which is this weekend, October 6th through 8th, I'm actually going to be back in Raleigh and also Asheville, North Carolina, doing a little stage play with Old Gods of Appalachia, reprising my role as Jerry Brotherton with a cast of far more talented voice actors. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's oldgodsofappalachia.com. You can get those tickets, or you can Google Old Gods of Appalachia tour or whatever. And I'm excited about that. It's going to be super cool. But other than that, you can just find me at parttimefunnyman.com. Okay, here we go. Ain't That America lyrics. There's a black man with a black cat living in a black neighborhood. He's got an interstate running through his front yard. You know, he thinks he's got it so good. And there's a woman in the kitchen cleaning up the evening slop, goddamn right. And he looks at her and says, hey, darling, I can remember when you could stop a clock. But ain't that America, you and me? Ain't that America something to see?
That's a little
ain't
sweet.
That America?
That's not totally
that is
downtrodden.
He definitely is bringing you in. I think when most people hear that, they're like, okay, yeah, that is America, right on. Then here we go. Well, there's a young man in a T-shirt listening to a rock and roll station. He's got a greasy hair and greasy smile. He says, Lord, this must be my destination, because they told me when I was younger, said, boy, you're going to be president. But just like everything, those old crazy dreams, they just kind of came and went. Ain't that America? And so far, we're not really.
It's not as like political or whatever
as you think.
Yeah, it's more like cultural.
Right.
But it is like
dreams don't hit.
Right.
Nothing hits really. But hey, we still love each other and get drunk and listen to rock and roll music, and that's pretty cool. Even though nothing hits, ain't that America?
Yeah,
that's sort of the vibe I'm getting so far.
Yeah,
anyway.
And here's the final. Verse here. Well, there's people and more people. What do they know? No. Got to work in some high rise and go on vacation down at the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, yeah. And there's winners and there's losers, but they ain't no big deal, because the simple man, baby, pays for the thrills, the bills, the pills that kill. Oh, but ain't that America? I think John Mellencamp was fucked up when he wrote this. Like, these lyrics aren't really.
This is where he became the cougar.
Like, this is just such a perfect example of how if you've got a really good melody and catchy all that other stuff, the lyrics sometimes don't matter, because a lot of this is kind of just nonsense. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like I get what he's saying, but it is still very.
He's
sort
doing
of
the
like
that kind of
it's
way.
very sort of
song.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is country song-ish, and that's what I was going to say. It's like because it's sort of, to me, it sounds like it sounds like he's going for this thing where it's like, oh man, he's keeping it real right here,
right?
But he's not really saying all that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it's like it has this mood of like saying stuff, but not really all that much stuff is being said. It's just
we do that all the time.
That way. Yeah,
that's our whole thing.
That's my number one bag, baby.
What is the Springsteen song that right wingers use for their campaign?
Born in the USA.
Yeah, it's not like that. On this one, it's a little bit.
That one's heavy-handed.
It's a little bit Mellencamp's fault that conservative or whatever pro-America people are like, see, it's going well.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the subtext is maybe America sucks, but like you really have to be looking for that. If you're looking for America rules, that's in there too.
It's there too, right? Whereas Born in the USA, it's pretty. I mean, I love Bruce Springsteen, and this is to me a feature, not a bug. But that motherfucker, he pretty much puts it right there.
Yeah.
Like, this what it is. There's not,
Yeah,
there
but
is subtext.
has he sold
but
any
he does, but yet, like, how so many people don't know or
because they just hear the chorus.
I know, but it's so wild. It's just like the same thing has happened with the drive-by truckers. Jason Isbell's had it, whatever, and it's always like every time I'm like, have you been paying any attention? But they haven't been. They just they just sort of hear the pleasant sounds that they like or whatever, and just don't even. Dude, fucking it happens to Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
and that's like that's literally their name.
Yeah, the Machine's over there like, hell yeah, that rules.
Hell yeah,
right. Yeah, the Machine loves Rage Against the Machine, dude.
Big fan of the Rage part. I could do without it being against.
I don't know
the
who
machine,
this machine is, but Corey, I think I could see the top of your computer or something, just so you know.
I don't like pronouns or prepositions.
It kind of hides my belly, so I kind of don't care.
Hey, let me ask y'all. So that is happening or has happened recently with a comedian we all adore, Bill Burr. I don't think Bill Burr could be quantified politically. Well, maybe he can after what just went down. He's so like on the one hand, he hates corporations. He hates big business. He's been very open about how the American political sphere is ran by corporations, which makes him sound lefty. But he's also been very anti-woke, and he's been pretty misogynist as a through line throughout his career.
Absolutely.
According to him. That's his words.
In a real funny way.
He just read a letter that a right-wing fan sent him because he was basically saying everything you grew up hearing about socialism in socialist countries is true in America. And most socialist countries are doing fine, except for the ones our CIA tried to disrupt and our policies have tried to ruin. And that's another one in comedy where I'm like, were y'all listening? And it was like, well, we were only listening to the we hate women parts.
Exactly.
Right. I've heard Bill Burr say on countless podcasts that he's been on some version of like, generally I'm leaning pretty left or I'm a whatever, like, and then he'll like counter it with, but I don't know about this woke shit.
He's a common sense pragmatist,
he's a 60-year-old liberal, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, right.
I even tried to do a joke about this, and y'all know it. That generation, and even ours to a certain extent, the F slur was our rebel flag, where it was like,
100%.
It don't mean that to me. Please don't make me stop doing this. He held on to that kind of mentality. For
sure. But like, I mean, when he laid that whole thing out about, they're like, look at what socialism did to Cuba, and it's like, but we have actively not let Cuba succeed. We have not let Cuba trade with us and our allies. Nothing would work. It wouldn't matter.
Fine, actually.
Yeah. Right. Have you seen how many cool old cars they have?
Also like,
looks sweet.
It's also like their life expectancy is higher than ours. Their health care is better than ours. They do have less hidden stuff. I will grant you that capitalism is king when it comes to like, can you have 15 different sweatshirts of various colors? Capitalism ain't been beat in that regard.
No, materialism, like consumerism, all that stuff. That's what capitalism's all about. All
man. And I'm so conflicted by it all.
Fascism.
Because like if I take a every year, I don't do this as much anymore, but I used to there's some, it might be Politico or something, I don't know, where basically you can go in and take this blind test, and it's like 150 questions, very specific questions. And it will pop out regardless of whether you think you wanted to vote for this party, you actually lean more towards this candidate. Like if you really believe all that stuff, this is kind of your candidate. And for the most part, mine was like always Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? It was like with what I believe and what I think is right. But then I am a fucking materialistic consumer to death. Like I love, having nice shit. I like having expensive toys, and I hate the thought
they didn't have the right question. There wasn't no question on there like, would you rather give up all of your shoe collection, but blacks don't get a vote anymore? And you were like, they had a good run.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be that. But like people, when they're creating that bogeyman of like socialism and communism, basically they always like to throw it to this. They're like, you realize if we had that, then there'd only be one brand of milk. You get that, right? Like there'd be one brand of milk, and it might not be milk, but that's the one I hear because that's the most important to me.
But diabetes medicine, but we'd only have one milk.
one type of milk, and I'm like, would the
I
milk
thought
be
they
good?
only wanted one milk. I thought
White
they looked
milk?
at all
They do.
these new milks and were like, get this gay ass milk out of here. Whatever happened to the one milk? Bring back
Soy
one milk.
milk.
One milk, yeah. Yeah. But you know what I mean? They're like, there wouldn't be the freedom of choice because there would be no competing corporations and yada, yada, yada. And like, I mean, if all that's true, I hear you. But like at the end of the day, if I did have to pick between, all right, we got one milk, but my sister will not go bankrupt if my niece gets cancer. Fuck it. I guess I'm drinking one milk, but that's not what it is.
And that's
like,
a hell of a thing
milk,
for you to
one
say
milk.
because you generally prefer
All
at
the
least
milks.
3 milks, sometimes 4
I'm at
milks.
least Trace is
At
the least amount of
leches.
milk.
Yeah, right. At least 3
Yeah.
milks. I've seen you
100%.
have 4 or 5 milks for dessert before.
I
Yeah.
just farted.
Oh,
and
I
it
have.
smells like milk.
My farts, let me tell you something about
Hang
them.
on. Won't you tell us about your farts right after this?
So me and Drew did a festival this weekend, the Second Bell Festival in
And if you didn't
Knoxville.
come and you were
Rambar-
close by, you blew it.
You blew it. It was so much fun. We had the tent full. We got to hang out and listen to Big Boy after that. But that was I do this thing where like I just won't drink for a long time, and then there will be like an event, and I blow it out, and I blew it out.
Blackout.
I did
He
get
do
blacked
that.
out, which that happens to me now, even on less alcohol than it
Right.
used to, because
Well,
y'all
of
know
course.
that like because of my but also
Your
because
tolerance
of my
goes down because you don't drink as much.
my tolerance goes down, but also my anti-depression medication.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you ain't supposed to do that
Also-
neither.
No, you're not. No, you're
Also,
not.
I think you store alcohol and fat. I think as you lose weight, you're going to get drunk quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
also
it's
a
all
factor.
that,
So
'cause-
he just everything
Yeah.
is conspiring to make him drunker. Every choice in his life is going to make him
Yeah.
drunker when he does drink. So that's
100%. But I did have a good time, and it was one of those where like usually it happens every 4 months. I get super drunk, and I usually regret it immediately. This one I didn't though because I did feel bad,
Yeah,
but like
meth.
man, we hung. Well, no, we hung out with all our buddies that we never get to see. Me and you had a really good time together. We did it was fun. It was like this was worth it. But I'm used to treating my body really good now, and so it now rejects shit like that. Because like the day afterwards, I came home, and it was when you're so hungover, you're just empty, and like you can literally eat 10,000 calories and nothing
Oh
fills you up.
God!
So I
I'm
had
a bottomless whale,
bottomless
dude.
pit,
Just a
like just
fucking
the
cow
endless void
on those
So,
days.
I got home, and that weekend while I was gone, Amber had gone to like a football party or something, and they had sent her home with like leftover dips and soups and stuff.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
all I had to eat the day afterwards was like a whole thing of buffalo chicken dip, a whole case of French onion dip, 3 bowls of French onion soups. And when I tell you the stuff that came out of my butt would make you think that Drew's average road fart was a goddamn daffodil, son. This shit. And also, and this is really what I wanted to ask y'all. Because we all know that diarrhea means, that you're not healthy or you've eaten something bad, right? So whenever you have diarrhea, you're otherwise not feeling good. However, if you could flip a switch right now and you're living healthy and everything is healthy about you, but you could just have diarrhea, like that would be your mode of transportation for shit out of your colon.
Are
would
you
choose
asking
it?
me?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I
you
think
don't
he's
like
wording it
diarrhea?
wrong.
Hell no.
I think he's wording it wrong.
No.
Trey, I think
You
he's.
tell me
No,
what
I
I
don't
mean.
think- I don't think he is.
What he means is, and maybe you do know what he means, and you just are against it. You just go to take a shit. It comes out quickly and immediately, and you feel empty
But as liquid.
as liquid.
As
But
butt
then you
water.
don't. But then you
As
don't
butt
run
water.
back and forth like with diarrhea. It's
No,
just that,
no, it's just that your
No.
normal shit is diarrhea.
Nope. No,
I'd choose it.
absolutely not. Absolutely
I
not.
choose it because I've been eating
I love
so
a
healthy
big
that
normal,
it hurts my
thick
asshole
shit.
so much.
Well, that ain't supposed to happen either. Like
They're big, they're huge.
You're boring your own asshole out. That's also
But they're healthy big turds.
it sounds like you're backed up a
a
little.
little too hard.
Yeah,
I
you
think
need some-
supposed to be a little more soft serving.
Yeah.
We're really in it
Yeah.
now. This is explicit poop talk.
I'd like to
but
move on.
But I've always my point
Yeah.
is that I've always genuinely liked diarrhea as a
Somebody
as a
isolate
way
that.
of
All right.
shitting.
I
I have
how I
like
feel
again.
when I'm truly done. where you're just there's nothing inside
it
my
explodes
body.
out.
But like I feel that way when I have a good poop anyway, and now I would like to
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I wanted to talk about Herschel
I was
Walker's
just going to
kid.
say
That's fine.
Well, that too. I'm not going to do it. I have something I definitely want to make a point to do today, but I'm not going to do it right now because it would be disrespectful.
Well,
so at some
I
point
wanna
later,
talk
I'll
about
do it. But
Big Boy real quick.
but
Oh yeah,
Trey,
talk about Big Boy.
How good do you think Big Boy was? Like, think hard about it. His age, but the hits, but all that. Like, how good do you think Big Boy was? Like, if I wasn't doing it this way, what would you have thought? And
I would have thought it would be awesome.
Like
I saw Big Boy once at Bonnaroo, just like a solo Big Boy after that Sir Lucius Left Foot album came out, the one with Daddy Fat Sax.
Was that
on
like
it. I saw him on that tour at Bonnaroo, and it was great.
8,
so I would have expected him to be
7,
great.
A 10.
I'd say like an 8, probably.
10 and a
8
half.
out of 10.
Is one of the 10.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
It was one of the 10 or so best
it was
shows
awesome.
I've ever seen. And my favorite thing, and I think anyone who creates could learn from this. I mean, it'd probably take a lot of time and effort, but like every musician and comedian I know has a thing that they don't want to hear anymore, that they cringe, that they don't want to perform it anymore. Not Big Boy. Big Boy said, and I quote, "They told me I only had 35 minutes left, but I got too many hits for that shit." He played every hit with pure
played them
joy.
all.
He was like, this song won a Grammy.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm over it. He did the
loved it.
dances from the videos from 15 years. It was like someone who was
his owls there?
but he did have Sleepy Brown
I didn't
with
see him. Yeah, it was very, very awesome. And like, here's how awesome it was. I watched most of it alone because I lost everybody because I was drunk. Yeah. And it didn't bother me a bit. I just stood there, and I finally found Jake James, but he was Jake James and a girl.
They was okay,
and I was like, I better
said that.
I was like, I better stay away from this. So I just sat there and just vibed to Big Boy, just like with a drink. And buddy, yeah, it was awesome. Like Drew said, like he to steal a phrase from black culture, he understood the assignment. He was like, these motherfuckers want to hear the hits. They want me to be enjoying the hits. It was great. Like they played the music video. So like when it was Andre's time, Andre would be up on the screen and shit. Like it was dope. And we had artist passes and that was cool. And, you know, we felt all included and shit. And yeah, it was dope. It was a great all around weekend, man. I can't really like
awesome. Every
time I go to Knoxville, I fall more and more in love with it. And as a Dogs fan, that's crazy to say, I guess. But like, yeah, right. It's just you can't deny how awesome Knoxville is, and especially in that scene, like everybody really turns up for it. It was cool. Now that's about the time I stopped remembering anything. I
was going to ask
night,
if you still actually remembered the show because I
remember Big Boy
at a concert before, and you know.
Well,
I was
like, I didn't get. There was one example of Andre 3000 being on screen, and it was the last song. They skipped all his other verses, but like,
I disagree.
No, that's true. I was there, but that was one of the coolest parts. Like their encore started out with Andre's face on screen.
I think it hit so
what's
hard
this
that
got to do with Corey being drunk? I don't know.
Because I said that it happened a lot.
Showing Andre's parts on a screen, but they kept skipping Andre's parts for the most part. Sleepy Brown did. Sleepy Brown is the guy who sings real high on all their tracks. It was cool that he was there.
I think that it hit so hard that my current brain went back and edited it in post. You know what I mean? You know how that happens. No, I don't. I remember everything. We got up to the bar, and I remember that dude coming up to me and you, and I was the oldest I've ever felt in my life, talking about how we were like, you know, one of his inspirations for getting into comedy, and he bought us a beer, and he started like explaining my cadence to me and stuff.
I wasn't with you when that happened. And then you told me about that, and then I said he just did the same thing to me separately. So
right. Okay, I put them together.
Great.
I put them together. See, I think that's what my brain does. Is my brain edits in post,
I think, where you remember, but it's pieces.
Well, I think too, it's like my brain edits it into how would I tell this to people in the best way possible in a story, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's not what happened in the book, but we know on TV, it's like let's just make these two scenes one scene because we can get through it better. So, like, if I was telling that to a story, I wouldn't say, he separately said that, I would just be like, he came up to me and Drew, and again, I don't do this consciously. I think that my brain is like Final Cut Pro, and it just does all that shit. And it's like,
I get
and here's
that,
what
but
happened.
this whole conversation is centered around the question of when you got blackout. So the fact that you're doing that makes it seem like you're not aware of when that really started to happen.
Yeah, but that is brownout, like you said. Blackout means I don't remember shit. Brownout is I was in and out.
Say goodbye.
No, because I texted you the next day and I was like, I do not. That's when I get worried, is like, if I don't remember saying bye to people that I know for a fact I go out of my way to say goodbye to, I'm like, I either get worried that A, I didn't, or B, like, good God, what did I do?
That's why you do what I do and just do the old Irish goodbye in those situations.
I may have
caught by Blank.
Just
you
bounce.
were humping Jeff Blank's face, and he did a bit he'd been doing all night that I'm certain you had heard. Maybe not, though, where he was grabbing the inside of your thigh, and he was saying, Papaw got you hymen, and you reacted just like that. And it is funny.
I don't remember that at all.
I could have swore you'd heard him do it already, so that's when I was like...
I probably had.
Probably.
Yeah. No, Jeff, the bit Jeff was doing all night that I remember was he kept telling me that he's writing a Scott Stapp musical.
Yeah, he's been on that one for about 6 months.
Yeah, right, and that's what he came up to me. But he came up to me in so matter of, like, the first thing he said to me. We haven't seen each other in a long time, and he walked up to me, and I'm about to give him a hug, and he goes, "Hold on. Did I tell you I finally got the ending to the Scott Stapp musical?"
As if you and him have been having a conversation about it for 6 months.
Yeah, right. And he's like, "I didn't tell you about this shit." And I was like, "No." But yeah, we had fun. I got Jake James, and that was a blast. So that's all I got on that. And now I probably won't drink again for another 4 months, and then we'll be having the same conversation.
So you just ain't gonna hit this weekend? Is that what we're saying?
My goal is to have 1 beer per show.
Okay.
I don't consider that drinking.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to get drunk one night.
So we'll see how it goes for me. Again, I've been at the solo shows. It's been great. I have a couple. Before I go up there, I go up at the end, obviously, so I get done, and then I just stop. Then I go to the hotel, and I stay stopped. Wake up feeling totally fine. It's not an issue. But I feel like this weekend probably be a slightly different story for multiple reasons, so I guess we'll find out before too long. But since y'all were talking about a musical artist hitting real hard, it's no longer disrespectful just to say, rest in peace, Loretta Lynn. That was the thing I wanted to say. She
needs to be on our list.
Right? Mm-hmm. 90 years old, which is wild because, like, she had something, she had a little bit of a comeback there very late in her career with that Jack White produced album, Van Leer Rose, which was like, that's been like 15 years ago or something like that. But that means she was still like 75 when that happened. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that album was great, dude. There's a song on there called Miss Being Mrs. It's about like an old woman with a dead husband, and I can't even hardly listen to that goddamn song. Makes me think of my Mima, sad as hell, but beautiful. And there's plenty of other bangers on there. But, yeah, she's, it's sad, but it's like 90. Anytime somebody hits 90 or better, even that, it's like you can't to me, you can't really be too sad about that. It's like she crushed about as hard at life as she possibly could have. So, she won, essentially.
For sure. If you're in the entertainment business and you get to 90, everything else is completely gravy. I'd say 68, actually. Really, yeah. I think. Because of the amount of hits that they get in by, like, if Mick Jagger or Keith Richards had have died at 57, yes, that's young, but the amount of hits that they got in was more hits than anyone will ever get in their life. So, like, that's all life is about, is accumulating the hits. And sometimes you get enough of them and it's time to go.
I can't now. You froze up for a minute there, but you fine now. Now he just died. He died for you?
Yeah, he's dead. So,
that was funny.
Rest in peace.
That was timed pretty hilariously.
Rest in peace, Loretta Lynn. I think that we officially add her back to our top 10 rednecks. Like, she came up in the conversation, but now that we have to drop Brett Favre, like, Loretta Lynn's got to go in, and she should have been there to begin with, frankly.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Here comes Drew back.
Do you agree with that?
What did you say, buddy?
That now that Brett Favre has to go, like, Loretta Lynn probably should have already been in, but, like, we've got to put her on the top 10.
Well, she's definitely
rednecks.
a hillbilly, which I think we had conversations about that word versus redneck and all that. So I think that was perhaps what maybe kept her off in the first place. I'm all for it. All I wanted to say about it being sad is I think when somebody like Loretta Lynn dies, you're sad that a time period's over. Like someone tweeted something like, one of the honky-tonk angels is gone home. Protect Dolly at all costs. And it's like you realizing like, oh, this marks time passing. These people who me and my parents looked up to are dying. Dolly will die. Hopefully not super soon, but like soonish. Willie will die probably kind of soon. Like that's what's sad is like, oh, time doesn't.
Yeah, that's over.
Quit.
You're right. That whole generation of stars that hit for your parents, and some of them also hit for you. They were like mega star back in the time when, a whole different era. But all the major stars of music and everything from back then, like it won't be too much longer before every one of them is dead.
Right.
And that's just all over. And there ain't none of them left, and it's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, and as George Jones sang famously, who's going to fill their shoes? Like who's going to be the ones that mega hit for us and also hit for our kids? Because like I feel like things are so like back in that era, you had the radio and you had 10 channels on TV, but now everything, there's so much more shit out there. There's so much more niche shit that like you don't have that like crossover, like like Elvis, like the mamas liked him and the kids liked him. Like we don't really have that as much anymore.
I also, since we last spoke, saw Tyler Childers twice at Red Rocks. I think it's possible that someone like him, if not him, could do it, but there'd be less. There's definitely not going to be like 7 of them, but there might be a few. With Tyler, he played some from his new album. He's got this song about hunting in heaven with his hound dogs. And it's definitely the kind of song.
Sorry, Trey.
It's definitely
on all fronts.
It's definitely the kind of song that he could sell to Morgan Wallen and make $1 billion. But it's also the kind of song where he could refuse to do that and just kind of force country radio. It's like, field these calls. Like, don't play this hit. Like, this is a straight up country music banger, even by today's standards. It is so great. It is not offensive at all, but it like borders on it, 13-year-olds are like, heaven sucks unless you can hunt or whatever. So like, I feel like you're right that those people aren't going to be standard, but I do think that we'll have people who enter into that fold. I mean, I hate to bring her up for reasons that'll be obvious, but I think Taylor Swift is one of those people.
Oh, for sure.
It'll just be harder. It'll be harder in country for reasons we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast in terms of pop country, but I think that'll swing back.
Well, I don't know who the answers are for this,
but
but I feel like we're skipping a generation here. And what I mean is like Loretta Lynn brought this up, and also like Keith Richards and people like that. So Taylor Swift is like around our age. Yeah. I feel like the direct comparison would be somebody that like hit when we were younger,
Nirvana,
who's older than us. Yeah, Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, people like that. Red Hot Chili Peppers, like Eminem, Snoop Dogg. Those people, I think, are
true. That's the
more in line with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, for sure.
The kids love Garth Brooks right now, and there was a bunch of young people at that Winona thing because, as we've discussed, Gen Z's got a hold of 90s country, so it may just have taken time for it to happen. I hope there is I guess all I'm trying to say. I hope there are people like that.
That's actually going to be the weirder one, like when we start seeing 90-year-old rapper, like when Snoop Dogg's 90. You know what I mean? Because like
it's already
old
a little
white.
odd.
Yeah, even just them in their 50s, because rap is such a young
but he just like
game.
an unk now, you know what
He
I mean?
does,
Yeah,
right.
They transition into unk form,
Some
which
of them,
also hits, and then it's fine.
Some of them try to keep going. I love Lil Boozy, but like the stuff he raps about, if you watch him do it, like if you're just listening to it, you're like, damn, okay. If you're watching him do it, you're like, man, you ain't beat nobody up in a decade, dog.
Buddy, he hates the gays.
Oh yeah, he does.
He's
gay. Like I believe he's gay.
He's definitely gay.
He also was. I'm afraid of him, and I live near him, but he is gay.
Okay, and also let me preface this by saying I think this was him. If it was not him, It sounds like
It was
something he
him.
would do.
I know what you're going to say.
Was
and it was him.
was he the one that was bragging about how he got his like 13-year-old kid's dick sucked?
By a woman.
Like, yeah, like
So he
I'm
won't be
laughing
gay.
at the audacity. Not yeah, right. He had like a prostitute or something suck his 13-year-old kid's dick. So my point is, like, maybe Boosie's not the
right example.
Maybe he's not the one that you should be like.
Example.
I mean, as an artist,
even
The day Boosie goes, man.
Eminem seems to have righted the ship, but there was definitely a moment there where people were starting to like be like, "Did he get lame?" Because he was still trying to like make pop hits and not being
Yeah,
So,
he's right. He's righted the ship. I think.
I do too.
As everything, Eminem was like, okay, never mind. I'll figure out how to hit again. But yeah, like when he was doing, like, there was a couple albums there in the late 2010s or whatever where it was just like, oh, dude, it's not 99 again. And then, you know, he came out with fucking, what's the one that we was bumping? Yeah. That shit. We were like, what the fuck? Oh, this guy's still got it.
What about Ice-T? The guy who started gangster rap, not started it, but made it famous with Cop Killer, is now a cop.
Now plays a cop. Yeah. I mean, get that bag.
Yeah, fine. That's fine.
You know,
he's just
he's an incompetent one on the show, if that helps. You know what I mean? You mean that this guy gets off with little girls with pigtails? Yeah, man. I don't know. Ice-T, it's weird because, like, he now is definitely more known for being an actor than he ever was for being a rapper, and that's crazy. Like, to just like because you're right. Like, people don't remember that. Like, no, not only was he a rapper, he was like the start of a movement and one of the coldest motherfuckers that ever did it. And then it's like he's gonna act, and now like again that career has long outlived the first part of his career. That's crazy.
Ice Cube's the same way.
For sure.
I was listening to something the other day because Andy did.
It's kind of wild that both Ice-T and Ice Cube followed that trajectory.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to something the other day with Andy because she didn't know about Tupac and Big, so we listened to a podcast because she needed to learn her history. And the host was making the point that if you look at what Tupac was getting into and how good at acting he was, if Suge Knight hadn't have become his manager and kind of gotten his ear about, you know, gangster rap and all that, he might have been what Ice Cube's career was. Like, Tupac was a great actor.
Right. And he'd probably be alive.
Yeah, he would.
No, but that's, you're right.
I think that, is that what they said? I think that is what, it's funny. Where'd you hear that, on a podcast or something?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called because Andy found it. We were driving cross country.
So, I just watched, you know, Chris Rock is my number one guy. I love Chris Rock, but I'd never seen Top 5, which was a romantic comedy that he wrote, directed, and starred in 2014 with Rosario Dawson. Because I'm not a big romantic comedy guy, but I saw it in my hotel room the other night, and I was like, you know, you got to be a Chris Rock completionist, so I guess I should watch this at some point. So I watched it, and it's a very, you know, good movie for a romantic comedy. It's very well done. But anyway, they had a scene in there where him and all his cousins got into a big argument about Tupac because they were talking about how they were robbed of somebody that would have been leading the movement, how he would have been like a Malcolm X or something like that. And Chris Rock is like, that motherfucker be playing a detective on Law and Order right now. It's like he would. It's like it went into a whole thing about how he would be, you know, an actor now, and you know, not Malcolm X. I don't want to butcher it by trying to keep going, but that was the gist of it, and it was pretty funny.
Stanhope used to have that bit about fucking Kurt Cobain and talking about all these people. They're like, oh, you don't have no idea how much they could have done. And he's like, you ever thought that some people are just out of shit? You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's why he did it. Like, they're like, no, Kurt Cobain would be this and he'd be that. And he goes, no, Kurt Cobain would be playing the halftime show of the Super Bowl and you'd fucking hate him. You know it.
I used to have that bit about JFK.
Yeah, right.
Like
yeah,
all
you
these
did.
Kennedys,
Yeah, you did.
They all end up old, red-faced, and rapey. It's better that he died and we can pretend like he was royalty.
It really is, man. Like, it's that Harvey Dent shit. It's like, let's just put up the statue and forget about all this, because like if he'd have went on, like, can't do that shit.
We need heroes.
Speaking of heroes that suck now, so have y'all been keeping up with Herschel Walker's kid stuff?
A little bit.
A little bit. I know. I mean, it's funny because his kid who's not generally hit for me in any regard.
Well, yeah, still
but
not.
Now that he's seeming to devote most of his time to talking shit about Herschel Walker, he hits.
Why
a little
did
bit
you
more
know
for
him
me.
before? I didn't know nothing about him.
He's
he
a lot
would go
like Patrick Mahomes'
viral
little brother.
sometimes but also I always saw him because he would go viral saying some like hardcore right wing shit, but in a very flamboyantly gay and also while
He's
being
reverse
black
you?
kind of way.
Yeah, he's reverse Trey.
Yeah, he is.
Right down to
but also
handed to him
well,
from
also
a famous dad. And both of you almost got aborted. This is crazy.
who's the famous dad that handed it down to me?
It's the opposite.
He's your opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like
Yeah.
Bizarro me.
Bizarro
and
Trey.
Yeah, but anyway, every video it wasn't just the stuff he was saying. It was also always the context of this is Herschel Walker's son right here. So,
Right.
I mean, it's because Herschel Walker was already running for Senate. It's his son. His son's very gay, but also very conservative and would scream about it on the internet. By the way, he don't ever tell no jokes or nothing. He don't hit.
No, he's not.
on
Bizarro
bitches. That's all he does.
Yeah,
right.
That's
but,
true. Keeps
anyway,
making sense.
But yeah, so I had seen him do that shit before. But yeah, now he's like going after Herschel Walker. So
Yeah,
anyway, Corey,
he
what were
is,
you
and
going to
like
say about it?
well, the right wing, as they do, they as much as they do not like gay people or black people, it seems, whenever they find one,
They're
like,
it.
okay, right on this. Only do it because they didn't do this thing that I just genuinely. It's probably one of the most frustrating things that I ever deal with on the internet or see.
The
I don't
Democrats
really deal with
do
it
it to poor
firsthand, but
people, though. They did that for Trey.
for sure, I don't like any of them. But when they go, wait a minute. Like with Herschel Walker, well, you can't really say Herschel because he's running against another black person, so they can't do it there. But they'll have this kid, this gay black kid, and he'll be saying these things that are awful, repugnant, right-wing talking points, and then they'll go, oh, wait a minute, we thought you liked gay and black people, as if as if wanting equal rights for everybody means that you think that means every black person is great, every gay person is great. Like, they do that all the time. I know, we thought you would really like this guy saying the complete opposite of everything you believe simply based on the fact that he is gay and black.
This dude literally
so
is
now,
Bizarro Trey. This is fucking with my mind so hard.
Yeah. But now that he, who was like the Republican, one of their
Look, we got
one of their
Look
greatest,
how bad his teeth are, and he ain't got no sleeves. Just
yeah. So now that they've lost him as their like, see, like this is his son, he's gay and black, and he's for sure, and like this is actually the first time I've felt kind of decent about Herschel Walker losing. Because like it's really made like his own kid is coming out and going, listen guys, yes, fuck Warnock and socialism and all this stuff, but like my dad tried to kill my mama, paid for abortions, was never there for us, and a lot of people were making the point that they were like, that the kid had thought that like, oh, if my dad gets to be senator, everything will be great, and now that his dad looks like he's slipping in the polls, now his son is just like, okay, here's my turn to fucking flip and go against him.
That's funny because that's also very Republican.
I was about to say that's right-wing opportunist as it gets, but like I said all that to say this, like I genuinely have just assumed that Herschel Walker was going to win this whole time because ever since Trump, I don't listen to nobody when they're like, well, there's no way they're going to elect someone like this because that's out the window now. But I was like, man,
I was going to say, let me say three quick things in response to that. Number one, the goal is only to just get less people to vote for Herschel Walker. It's not like anybody's going to be like, well, I guess I'll vote for a socialist. The goal is just to keep people from voting.
Right.
Then we move on to the question, well, will that happen enough to work? On the one hand, our buddy who's a political operative, Teets, ran a campaign where it came out that Scott DesJarlais had paid for a bunch of abortions, and he won in a landslide. A very different scenario.
Right.
Georgia's much more purple than the county. That was a state Senate race, so those counties were a lot more red. But still, Republicans often don't give a shit about that. They only care about their, policies. They're very good at getting over stuff and voting, much better than Democrats. But one thing that I feel has shifted in this conversation, and it might be because Herschel's black, it might be because it's on a national scale, or it might just be the zeitgeist moving a little bit. A lot of people are pointing out the issue isn't that he is a hypocrite. The issue is that by these voters' standards, he's literally a murderer. So the question isn't can you vote for a hypocrite? The question is, can you vote for a fucking baby murderer by your own standards? And that's a pretty great question. And I genuinely think it's going to be hard for some people. I think a lot of these people are, just opportunists, whatever. They don't like taxes. They'll vote for anybody. But I think a lot of people are going to be like, or genuinely like, wow, he really is a baby killer. And I don't know if I can vote for that.
Right. Right. Because if you.
Wait. Let's continue this right after this.
Great point, because if they truly believe the things they say in that abortion is murder, then Herschel Walker is a murderer. Yes. I don't think that, obviously, but they then have to, you're right, they have to sit with the fact that, like, we would literally rather elect a 4-time murderer
I guess
than
and
a
they
reverend.
Do.
Right.
Well, and they do though.
Yeah.
They would. Like I saw somebody took a screenshot, and it was getting passed around a lot, of the Walker son, his tweet about my dad tried to kill my mom, my dad's a lunatic, he paid for abortions, all this stuff. One of the top comments on it was from some patriot with a flag, profile picture, whatever. It said, "Please just wait till after the election. I'm begging you, please." And it's like, so it's them just acknowledging, like, listen,
this ain't good.
One thing,
right? It's like, you're not helping it. Like,
what are you doing?
We get it. He's a baby murdering lunatic, but he got to win this thing. Okay,
yeah, right.
Then we could talk about
one thing
it
I just thought
after the fact, because it's like everything is preferable to a socialist libtard.
Well, one thing that I just thought of,
who is a reverend.
I just thought of.
I mean, I know, but he got a D by his name.
Well,
so.
one thing I just thought of they could believe that is somewhat logical is, I'd rather elect a guy who murdered 4 babies, but will make it illegal for y'all to murder babies, than elect a guy who's going to let millions of babies get murdered.
Everybody murder babies.
So there is something.
Yeah, I mean, do that baby murder math. That's what you got to do. Yeah,
I've done that before.
$400.
Got a punch card and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I tried doing
I don't know.
Right after Roe got overturned, about what made me pro-choice was paying for another man's abortion.
I did that. Yeah.
I've done that, and like, people weren't ready. People weren't ready for anybody to talk about it. Maybe they will be now. I might bring that one back.
Wait, what? Y'all have both paid for another dude's abortion?
Yeah, and like, the joke was, for me, was like, this is how I know I'm very pro-choice. Is like, imagining him with a kid made me super pro-choice. It was like, no, you don't need a kid. Here, take the money, and let's make sure to keep the floodgates open.
I bought a dude an abortion, and then later bought his wife a set of titties.
That seems counterproductive.
Yeah, you're really trying to run against your investment there.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is later.
If you got a bad ROI, you're going to have to get.
He's going to get people pregnant.
More abortions down the road if you get the. Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, he don't want to pay for any more abortions. Don't get her titties. It's pretty simple.
Well, he has kids with her now that they don't abort. This was a long time ago when he was with a girl that actually he didn't mind having a kid, but this girl was like, absolutely not. We cannot do this. And she was like, but I'm broke and I don't have the money. And he's like, oh, can you help me out? I'm like, absolutely, buddy, I got you. And then years later, he got married and I bought her some titties.
Okay. That all checks out.
That was wild.
Hey, Corey, it is wild. That's a classic Cho moment, showman in time. Corey, will you look up the lyrics to Like a Rock?
I would love to, Trey.
Because I realize I don't have a clue what that song's about either, really. It's also just
while
trucks
you're looking
to
that
me.
up.
Chevy
Did
trucks,
Springsteen,
but I'm assuming it's not about trucks.
While you're looking that up, did Springsteen ever go that route? Did he sell a song to a company, or you know what I mean?
I'm not going to say he never did, but I can't remember.
I can't either.
One,
All right, I got him. You want me to read them?
Sure, yeah.
Like a Rock. Stood there boldly, sweating in the sun, felt like a million, felt like number one. The height of summer, I'd never felt that strong.
That
like
sounded a little bit like Garth Brooks.
It do. I was 18, didn't have a care, working for peanuts, not a dime to spare. but I was lean and solid everywhere.
Is this
like
a Garth
rock.
Brooks? Is he gonna fuck an old lady at the end of this? Is this an ad for Blue Chew?
My hands were steady. My eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose. My steps were quick and light. And I held firmly to what I felt was right. Like a rock. Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever got to me. Like a rock, I was something to see. Like a rock. And I stood arrow straight, encumbered by the weight of all these hustlers and their schemes. I stood proud. I stood tall, high above it all. I still believed in my dreams. 20 years now. Where did they go? 20 years. I don't know. I sit and I wonder sometimes where they've gone. And sometimes late at night, when I'm bathed in the firelight, the moon comes calling a ghostly white, and I recall, I recall. Like a rock, standing arrow straight like a rock, charging from the gate like a rock, carrying the weight like a rock, the sun upon my skin, like a rock, hard against the wind, like a rock, I see myself again, like a rock, oh, like a rock.
There's
there
an
you go.
Unreleased.
So that's pretty much what you.
It's
think,
like a rock.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just just man, being a man.
There's an unreleased.
strong.
Yeah, that song should be a
There's
truck
an
commercial.
unreleased verse where he's like, I fucked that whore, then I fucked her some more. It's all about being in a whorehouse, is what I'm getting at. It's like you got to read through it.
It's the dick. The dick is
And
what's
losing
like a rock.
your
That song
and
hit for
losing
you,
your
Drew?
virginity to a prostitute.
That song hit for you,
Like a
Drew?
rock? Fuck no.
Yeah.
No, I've never been more vindicated in my life than this episode. It's as if I
that song don't. That song don't hit. That song don't really hit for me. Bob Seger does hit, but that song, like, maybe if it hadn't have been in all the commercials, I might have liked it once, but it's not really ever been
It's
my
not about anything.
favorite.
Turn the Page is good.
Yeah, Turn the Page rules. Bob Seger
It
rules.
does rule.
Hits.
All I ever
Bob
said was
Seger
that
does hit.
fucking,
You say it didn't hit.
No, I did not.
said it
I
didn't
said
hit.
Foreigner
Hard
was
on the
better,
fish.
and
Yes,
I
you did.
stand by that a million times a million.
Yeah, but the only reason you said Foreigner was better is because me and Trey just happened to say something about Bob Seger being good, and you did
No.
that classic internet
No.
thing where you were like, "You like pancakes? Are you saying you
No.
hate waffles?
We were
Fuck
having
you,
a
you
discussion
dumbass.
about dad
Foreigner's
rock
better."
and who was the best dad rock. It was absolutely
No, you
apropos
made it that.
of
You made it that.
the fucking conversation we were having. Who was the best dad rock band?
No, you.
And I
you
said
made it
Bob
that.
Seger
We weren't
don't even
getting
belong in the
binary
top
with it.
3.
That's insane. No, we were talking. We were just like, just randomly.
Yeah, just
Bob
randomly.
Seger hits.
We were just
and then
hanging
you
out.
entered,
who hits
and then
Bob Seger?
well, I don't think
It's
we were
literally
talking
on
to
the
you. I
fucking
think you
podcast.
entered the
And
room.
you know this.
Well, go
I know
listen
exactly. Hold on. What are you saying happened, Drew? Because I know
That
literally
we were having
exactly
a conversation
what happened.
about dad rock in general.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's
That's
correct.
it. I'm done. That was all I'm saying.
Yes. But you said Life is a Highway was dad rock, and I was like, this is more like mom
Right.
rock.
That is how
I
it
said,
started.
to me, dad rock is like to me, dad rock is like Bob Seger, and you were like, fuck Bob Seger, he don't hit Foreigners. Foreigners
I
will
said
hit.
Foreigner was better. That's all I said. Foreigner better dad rock.
No,
You
'cause
said- no, you
you're
said
like,
fuck
you're like
Bob
Seger, dude. You're like, dude, fuck Bob Seger.
I stand by that,
It's like, get the fuck out of here
I
with that
stand by all of the
bullshit.
things that I said. Corey said that I just randomly brought it up, which is not true. I stand by all that. Foo Fighters are better dad rock than Bob Seger. Foreigner.
Foo Fighters are better than Nirvana. How
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that?
you would believe that now that you're a dad.
I believed it
I
since
think
I've
Foo
been a
Fighters
kid.
are fine.
What's up?
They're great.
They're all right.
They're the Bob Seger of the 90s
I agree
and
with
2000s.
you. In that
argument.
on that we agree.
Oh, fuck you. No, you
On
said
that
they
we
hit.
agree.
Bob
I
Seger
think
don't hit
Bob
for you.
Seger's fine too. Yes, I
No,
do.
you don't. You spread your butt publicly
I did fart
in
on
that
your
bar.
fish.
And you did. You farted. How many fucking episodes ago? By the way, we're getting close
Dude,
to 300
who
episodes. I feel like we
knows?
need to do something
Let's wait till
special.
500.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah, fair.
yeah, that
I
hits,
don't-
that hits for me.
that,
Yeah.
that does hit way
Let's
hard.
wait 4 more years. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
not.
true. It might work out though that we're in Nashville for the 300th.
That'll hit.
If that's true, then we still won't do anything special, but
No.
it'll be fun. By the way, guys, while that got organically brought up, we are going to be back in Nashville at Zany's, like always, during the Christmas season. You can get those tickets at wellredcomedy.com, and we can't wait. And also, we're going to be in Raleigh this weekend, October 6th through 8th. I'm pumped. I tried out some of my new about to be a dad jokes at the festival in Knoxville, and they went over well the first time, so I'm fucking, like, really pumped. You know the, like, that feeling that only a new joke can give you?
It's so funny
It's
that
like
you
the
say
old-
that
like
way
it's a-
after talking about a kid.
But yeah, that's true.
That feeling
it's
that
the only-
nothing else in the world can bring
But
about.
it's a very
I have a new
specific
joke about
feeling
my
that
child.
it sucks that. But it's one of those, like, there's a lot of things about this business that, like, I can explain to my friends a little bit, but it's one of those, there's no words to describe how it feels when you think of a thing and then you don't know how it's going to go, and it comes out, and the first time it works. Like, it is a feeling unlike anything else. And, like, I think that's the thing that I chase. Like, it can immediately, it can make you be like, I don't know, you just get fucking hungry again. And I was so excited, and I'm really pumped to have, like, a new way of looking at things and getting material, because, like, there for a while it was just like, how much more cheese can
I
we
really
discuss?
like as much, maybe better, when it doesn't work that well, but it will. Like, where you're like, no,
right.
like, they laughed at the premise.
Yeah.
They're gonna laugh. Like, I just got to figure it out.
Yeah, that happened to me a little bit in my set, and I realized it was because I was like, oh yeah, you're supposed to know where you're going. I was in the middle of doing I'm about to be a dad jokes, and they were all landing because I had punchlines and stuff, and then I just out of nowhere, I guess I was hitting too hard and I couldn't have that. I just go, I've just got a bad feeling I'm going to leave my baby in a hot car. And then everybody stared at me, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't have an angle here. and I kind of farted my way out of it. But yeah, that was also in its own way exciting to be up there like, oh fuck, how am I going to win? But I'm pumped, so you can see all that new stuff this weekend in Raleigh. Trey, you got any new I'm still a dad jokes?
No, I mean, honestly, the truth is, I mean, hell, this, I would think. I've never really done much dad or child material, really.
That's true. You talk about how much your wife don't hit.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Katie and marriage material, but
yeah.
I'm not saying I've got a couple ideas for things about the boys, but I haven't gotten to them or tried them out yet.
Almost feels like a cheat code because they're so funny on their own.
I don't know. I just have never. I mean, y'all know how I am about the whole situation. I've just never been inclined to, I don't know, mock them. You can have jokes about being kid, but I just felt like, to me, especially when I was getting started in comedy, most of the jokes I ever saw from comics about kids were the exact same fucking thing over and over, which was all like,
right,
how they're all fucking fun vampires and your life is over and they stole
siphon all your money
and they fucking and just all that shit. And I always,
that's boring.
I never had any interest because I don't fucking feel that way. But also, I just wasn't going to do none of that. But it also just sort of put me off the idea of doing kid material in the first place, or just in general.
Yeah, right. I
guess.
feel that.
But I mean, they're 9 and 10 now, and I know
they're
I'm
just
not
funny.
Do that.
They're abnormal
type
kids.
of shit. So I'm like, I've got a couple in mind that I might be doing. You just reminded me that I've been not doing a kid in a hot car line in one of my bits, and I need to keep doing it. But it's not about having kids. It's in the rural parents bit. But yeah, I had a line in there about that, and I've been forgetting to do it. So.
Yeah. Just being sad while we're happy. Yeah, that's most of our headshots.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cho, the way this here new software we've been using for a while, the way it works is the end product
Drew will just be doing that.
Yeah, right. The end product. Yeah, right. It won't have none of the freezing or the.
No, we'll look normal, and Drew will just be going.
Right. But at least he explained it, and now he's dead again. I mean, I think it fucked up again, but that's okay because we're pretty much at time anyway.
Yeah,
so.
we're here. Go to parttimefunnyman.com and you can get bonus podcasts from me and my sister. This is Putting on Airs related, which that's me and Trey's new podcast, but we're doing Little House of the Dragon, which is a House of the Dragon review show. Obviously, it goes on the Putting on Airs feed and also watchpoa.com. But I'm doing some more behind-the-scenes stuff with that at parttimefunnyman.com. I'm trying to do a lot of cool things, but you should definitely listen to me and Trey's new podcast, Putting on Airs. It's my favorite thing that we do. It's super fun. If you haven't heard by now, it's where two dipshits, and those dipshits being me and Trey, talk about fancy people and their culture, such as the Queen, what she used to get up to, all that stuff. There's history lessons. Trey always tries to break down the Venn diagram of where trashy people and fancy people meet. Example number one being cousin fucking, and he does such a great job of it. So check out Putting on Airs wherever you get your podcast or at watchpoa.com.
TreyCrowder.com for solo and group shows. Also, watch or listen to Weekly Skews, the live political podcast every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Or you can just listen to it not live any other time of the week, wherever you get your podcasts or on my social media pages. And failing all that, or if you just want to also do it, go to patreon.com/TreyCrowder and sign up on there and get some extra bonus stuff going on and support your boy. And yeah, that'll about do it.
All right. Thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and excuse.